Hello again. At the time of recording, which is roughly 2 to 3 weeks ago now that you're seeing it, I've been at my new job for 3 weeks. So I'm doing all of my recording on weekends. This is the second video I'm recording today, and there's 2 more after this. Okay. Hopefully, with all of the crowding and recording, I can keep this up without letting the quality slip, considering the quality I've had before this, might not make much of a difference, but I'm sure you'll let me know if stuff starts going downhill. Continuing with a previous trend of discussing the homes of various small folk in 5e, what can we say about gnomes? There's already a lot of lore in the 5e canon on them, things like their history and mythology, their gods, long lifespan, their magical aptitude and mechanical abilities, tendency not to gather in large clusters of their own kind, preferring either solitude in the wilderness or intermingling with populations of different races. Now, thinking about that, have you ever heard of a gnome city or a gnome nation? Probably not. Neither have I. There's very little specifically about their homes, beyond that they're dug out like a fox or a badger den. Much as many bushcraft shelters we can see constructed on YouTube. One of several advantages to this would be the ability to keep their homes hidden or camouflaged from anyone who doesn't know where to look or what to look for. Unfortunately, smoke rising from a chimney even a hidden one, is a dead giveaway. They'll know something's there. But even these, you could put the vent of the chimney well away from the actual home itself. You just need a longer pipe between the hearth and the vent. As far as structural integrity, even without... Where did it go? Damn it, I hate this computer. Even without the advent of available magics, there are myriad ways one could stabilize this kind of construction for long-term habitation. Digging under a crown of tree roots, for example, or using wooden posts and lintels inside the structure to support it from underneath. You could go so far as even using wattle and daub structures or mud brick for your hearths, your ovens, your fireplaces, and even the chimney pipes. That avoids the use of or need for metal. Much as these amenities, the way these amenities were built during the Anglo-Saxon period. The other major advantage of these buildings in particular is that an individual, one person, given from a few days to a couple of weeks, would be able to build one themselves. Maybe even just as a small family group. There's no need to ask anyone else for help. You don't need to find your neighbors, so nobody else needs to know exactly where the house is. So, this kind of inbuilt secrecy with gnomes, the tendency to hide, it plays heavily into what's written for them in their history. In ages long past, at least in the Forgotten Realms, they've been exploited, enslaved, tortured, attacked, hunted, and driven into hiding several times, even upon their initial creation by their chief deity, Garl Glittergold. They were enslaved by the kobolds, if the mythology is to be believed. In what would be the present, or at least the current era in a given game world, gnomes seem to retain both the propensity to remain hidden, or at least just below radar, and a reason to remain hidden. Their more famous or infamous abilities would likely draw more attention than they'd be comfortable accepting if there was a large group of them together. From all manner of groups and individuals, they might have less than the best intentions for the gnome or gnomes in particular, or for the use of their abilities. Things like enchanting weapons, identifying magic items, artifice in general, building things, uh, evaluating the prices of gems or other treasures, or even crafting tools and implements or weapons meant to do harm to someone who might or might not deserve it. So it's completely understandable that gnomes, for the most part, would prefer to remain hidden and disparate rather than gathered together. At least from the general populace of a crowded city or a nation that tends to be at war more frequently than not. Makes perfect sense. As they're written in 5e, it works for them to choose a style of home that can be built quickly and sturdily, without great material cost, hidden somewhere in the woods, and able to be abandoned at the drop of a pointy red hat. Basically, just dig a hole somewhere in the woods, nobody knows where it is, live in there. Make it cozy, put a fireplace, put an armchair down, throw down a rug, whatever. Maybe have a couple of pets. But, the second there's a problem, they could up sticks in 10 minutes, leave, and start digging a hole somewhere else. It might even be said or suggested that if you see a gnome carrying a pack bag, he's just out shopping. Could be anything. If you see him carrying a shovel, he's moving. I think an occasional gnome mixed in with the denizens of our goblin and kobold-dominated hermit kingdom might fit in rather well. Or at the very least, an occasional goblin with some portion of gnome ancestry. So let me know what you think. Give me ideas. What do you think a half gnome, half goblin would look like or be like? Would the gnome be the father or the mother in that situation? I've only written one character like this so far, and I still have no clue what to make him look like. Anyway, point out my mistakes so I can fix them. And as always, like, share, comment, and subscribe, and I'll talk to you next time. Hello again. Another short one for you today, this time around. This will be my second time trying this format for a video with just screen recording. Hopefully the audio improves this time. I've only got one image of a frost elf, being the one on the screen now, which I drew several years ago. Frost elves, as I mentioned in a previous video, are a subrace of elf. They have a lot in common with the wood elf, but are a small creature and endemic to Arctic regions. Beyond size, the major differences between frost elves and the rest of their kin is that frost elves, where I am on the script here, frost elves are immune to cold damage after living for so many generations in the frozen tundra, high mountains, and icy coasts in the far north. They can withstand temperate climates, but might not be very comfortable in tropical regions and temperatures. They'd likely be very uncomfortable in equatorial heat like a desert, but giving them disadvantage in these situations would be up to the individual DM. They're also carnivorous. Unlike migrating animals or nomadic herders, frost elves stay in the cold Arctic year-round and have developed a seasonal diet. When large herbivores and migratory birds come north in the summer, they'll hunt and eat those. During the rest of the year, they rely mostly on fishing and hunting marine mammals like whales, seals. It's not very hippie wood elf druid nature lover, I know, but you try growing tomatoes and carrots in the snow and tell me how that works out. Due to their environment, the idea of food spoiling or rotting is more than a little foreign to them. They're used to being able to store or preserve food just by burying it in ice and snow. Being in a warmer climate and having to put effort into preserving food so it won't go bad will be rather confusing to them for at least the first little while. It was also mentioned in a previous video, almost in passing, that they occasionally tame and ride mountain goats, which plays in well with our goblin society. So far, I've only put one frost elf in Texta, uh, and the image I have is of her when she was a PC. Yes, this is Candy, Incandescent Cori, the wife of the goblin Cori Kelga. Instead of Mask of the Wild, I gave Frost Elves the Mask of Winter, limiting their ability to hide to only work in Arctic or winter situations. Having Goblin as a language on the stat block is specific to Texta. Anywhere else, they'd likely only know Elvish and Common. Hopefully this is at least entertaining, maybe even useful. I tried to balance this out as a subrace subspecies by taking something away every time I gave them something. So let me know what you think. What would you do differently? Do you think there should be more frost elves in Texta? Should they found a settlement up on the top terrace of the mountain with the ice and snow? Give me ideas. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. If you want to send images or artwork for me to show in a video, there's an email address on my YouTube page, and we can figure out some way for me to pay you for it. All right, I'll keep working on things here. I'll consider any suggestions you have for building this place up. And, well, I'll talk to you next time.